Folks, happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name's Jason Robertson and I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Peterson. Thanks for joining us today, folks. And Jason, before we get going, I want to give a special shout out to our Rumble audience. Kagan Girl in the chat already. Good morning, Kagan Girl. And a special thank you to Dee Dee. We didn't catch the notification last week. Dee Dee gave a little financial support to the channel. So Dee Dee over on Rumble, if you're tuning in right now, thank you. We'll make sure to say thank you as the show progresses as well. But folks, truly appreciate you tuning in. Truly appreciate your financial support for the show. And Jason, I am fired up for today's show because as the title says, Dems will defend everybody but you. They hate you. If you don't walk away with that same feeling after the end of this hour and a half, God love you, but you need a little help.
Well, and what's really fascinating too is we have a couple different stories, and one of the theses as we came in to the Freedom from the Press podcast is we wanted to show people that the rich and powerful, the Democrat, Republican establishment folks want nothing more than to get you fighting and hating each other. And so we're going to lean heavy into the Democrats because right now that entire side is brainwashed. Although some normie Democrats are waking up. They're few and far between, but they're out there. On the conservative side, Mitch McConnell, all those clowns, they hate you too. And they want you fighting against each other. They want us, the everyday, the working class citizens. Donald Trump is breaking that narrative. He just says, let's all be Americans. Let's make America great again. Let's all work together. Let's move forward as a country. And the Democrat establishment is just going hard into divisive messaging. Some Republicans do too. And like when you call out the machine, they just turn on you. But we have the Maryland father story. We have the Texas story. Some of the things we want to say about both, you have to catch on the Rumble only part. We do an hour on all the platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble. Then we do a half hour over on the Rumble only. Shout out to the Rumble crew because they won't censor what we say because we have some opinions to say, including talking about a government website that just got updated this morning.
Ooh, it starts with the letter C and has to do with a man whose last name starts with F, who was prominent a couple years ago.
Yeah, you guys remember there was some bat somewhere that got in the soup. Turns out, wait, we can't go much further.
All right, that's as far as we can take it here. I think we have said too much, Jason. Facebook's going unpublished.
Yeah, there's some Indian dude on Facebook just with his finger above the button going, I'm going to hit the button. I'm going to hit the button. But they haven't hit the button yet, thank God. Where do we start, Todd? Where do we start?
So many stories out there. Folks, I think we got to dive into this. His name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He is just the Maryland man. Jason, if you only watched MSNBC, you would be under the impression that an American citizen who is a loving, dutiful husband and father was mistakenly and erroneously sent to some torture camp down in El Salvador. We violated the Constitution, due process. This is what's happening when Trump goes in and tries to deport the illegals. So if you were a Democrat out there or you watch mainstream media, you're like, this is awful. We deported a Maryland man, a simple, peace-loving, loving husband and father Maryland man. And that is the narrative that they ran with. Donald Trump's evil for deportations. We got a clip of some MSNBC woke anchor crying over the deportations. But that's what you heard. Turns out, Jason, we're going to government accounts. We have Pam Bondi speaking and kind of explaining. I followed the Carolyn Levitt clip as well. She'll break the story down for us as well. Turns out the alleged ties to MS-13, the gang, the accusations of wife beating, associations with MS-13. Turns out there might be a little veracity to those claims. But let's listen to Pam Bondi break the story down. We'll listen to Carolyn Levitt break the story down. We'll read some tweets to you as well from them, letting you know a little bit more information than maybe MSNBC was kind of shielding from you all. So let's fire this one up, Jason.
Timeline, because there seems to be in the
Dee Dee's in the house. Dee Dee, I don't know if you heard it. We gave you a shout out. Thanks for the tip last week, and thanks for joining.
Appreciate you, Dee Dee.
Media, especially, a narrative that is completely and totally and utterly false regarding, quote, Mr. Garcia, and not one but two courts actually said he was an MS-13 gang member and identified him as such. Can you please explain what you know about him?
All right. And folks, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, you're listening on audio, or you're driving, you can't see the clip right now, Fox News is scrolling a timeline of this individual, and it says March 2012, Kilmar Garcia enters the country illegally. So fast forward to 2025, Jason, not a math person, but 13 years, this dude's been in the country illegally. Apparently we know when he entered, by the way. It just goes, they know where they are, they know when they come in here. The government just decides not to do anything about it. Dude's been here for 13 years, though, is when this timeline begins. Jump in there, Jason.
Teacher with permission to speak. In 2012, he enters the country on an asylum claim from what country did he come from, Todd?
Guatemala. I think I'm wrong about that, aren't I?
Yeah. What country is he in now?
He's in El Salvador now.
He is an El Salvadorian refugee. The reason he left El Salvador is he was saying, I forget the gang's name, was trying to kill him. So he goes from El Salvador to America, and he asked for asylum. In the asylum claim, he said, I can't stay in El Salvador. The gangs are going to kill me. And oh, by the way, like at the time, El Salvador was the murder capital of the world. So he comes in, and Obama changed the regulation where if you're an asylum seeker, they let you in the country and stay until your court is adjudicated, not send you home or have you wait in Mexico or any of that stuff. So remember, he is from El Salvador and he is fleeing El Salvadorian gangs. Now, Todd, why would you be fleeing an El Salvadorian gang?
I wonder if you're part of a rival gang. That might have.
I don't know. I mean, do I got to get the conspiracy theory hat out, Todd? I
know I'm going too far with that. Usually those guys don't like one another. If you're just a regular person, yeah, you live in El Salvador, they kind of target everyone. But usually gang activity correlates with other gang activity. This just didn't, folks.
All right, continuing on.
Yeah, Sean, factually, this is an extremely disturbing case. And as a career prosecutor, it is even more disturbing. Every American tonight should be thanking Donald Trump for making America safer by getting this guy out of our country. I'm going to call him a terrorist because he has been designated as a member of a terrorist organization. So this illegal alien terrorist came into our country illegally in March of 2012. We know that because he admitted that when he was stopped in 2019 by the anti-gang squad. They stopped him at a Home Depot with 3 other members. And here's what's very important. He was wearing a sweatshirt with gang insignia on it. The guy he was with, another MS-13 known member, had a tattoo with very similar insignia on it. ICE declared him as a member of MS-13. The police officers, the gang unit, declared him as a member of MS-13, and also they independently went to a reliable, confidential informant who said not only is he a member of MS-13, he gave them the clique, the Westerns, and he was called a Chiqueo, which is one of the higher-ranking MS-13 members. So they rightfully detained him, rightfully. An immigration judge agreed. An appellate immigration judge agreed. Now, here's where it gets even more frightening. In 2021, his girlfriend previously, his wife at the time, who he had married in jail after he'd gotten numerous tickets, didn't show up for court. He marries her in jail. She has a baby with him. And as a career domestic violence prosecutor, too, I know it takes a lot for any woman to come into court and say they're a victim of domestic violence. This woman came into court twice getting a restraining order against him, saying it's horrific. He had beaten her. He had punched her in the eye. He had ripped her clothes off. What causes a young mother to do this? Her child was with her. She talked about her child in the petition for an injunction for safety. Ultimately, she didn't show up for court. That's your typical domestic violence victim. But this victim was even braver because she was married to one of the top MS-13 members who was illegally in our country and a terrorist. So now
Can you explain?
He gets...
Oh, go ahead.
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry,
Sean.
Pam. Finish. No. You finish.
So, Sean, under Donald Trump's incredible plan to get these alien enemies, these terrorists out of our country, he is deported. He is deported back to where he came from, El Salvador. He is sitting in a prison, and every American should be thanking President Trump tonight, and every liberal journalist who has called him a Maryland man and saying he was rightfully in this country should be apologizing tonight.
That whole clip is fire.
I was going to say pump it in my veins. I got to catch up on some of the comments. The elites who hate America are paying them to promote our demise and confusion. Troy, you're exactly right. Donald, still over on the Facebook, Democrats care for illegals more than their own Yes, that's fact check true.
The title of the show today, Fact Check True.
Although Neil, it looks like he's from Philadelphia with the Eagles hat. Come on, be honest. The Democrat Party ignored citizens' need for disaster to aid illegals. F blank should be blank. Neil, you need to come over to Rumble.
Because I'm just going to say Rumble Facebook community comment right there.
Facebook, don't let you say, it won't let me read that comment, Neil. Come join our Rumble community, rumble.com, the American Tribune. But, I mean, just some powerful things in the comment. I know it's true because my first husband beat me and I didn't prosecute him, but I left before he could hurt my child. What a story, Lee Lewis. How did he get married when he is an illegal? All these are great questions.
Actually, that is a great question. How does that work? Excuse me, American justice system. I would like to get a marriage certificate. Great. Do you have your ID? I remember getting married. Do you remember getting married, Jason? And you have to go through the whole process of paperwork and name changes and social security numbers. And do we grant illegals marriage certificates too?
Yeah, you can get it all. Yeah, so let's put this guy in perspective. 2012, he flees El Salvador because he was being threatened by other gangs, which means he was probably in a gang. Like, let's be honest. The Obama administration says, come on in and hang out. 2019, he gets busted doing gang stuff, hanging out with gang members. All the immigration judges say, hey, yeah, it looks like he's in a gang. Hey, it looks like he's in a gang. Then he beats his wife, gets press charges on. And then Donald Trump's like, okay, let's go through the list. And everybody's screaming about like what he did, what he didn't. Pam Bondi on her official government site, not only does she have the video, but I think she actually links to all the court documents.
We got the documents too. I'll share those in a second, Jason.
Yeah. So she goes through all this information. Clearly, this is a bad person. Clearly, this person, every American should say, like, even under the basic principle, you came into this country kind of as a lie because you were probably a gang member. And then you got involved in gang activity in America. Any point along the line, you should go home. You do not have the right to all this crap that everybody wants to scream about because you're not a citizen. You came in here illegally. You lied about it when you came in. You violated your temporary terms because, just so you know, if you're here on a green card or any of those things, you have to abide by certain laws like, oh, yeah, don't do domestic violence and don't participate in gang activity. These are all part of your agreement with America to be in the country. And if you're found to violate that, we send you home. Like, have a nice day. And I don't know what Democrats, well, I do know Democrats want to destroy America, but I don't know why Democrat citizens or supporters are believing this. Like, why is this not convincing? I mean, right here, Todd has on the screen. Todd, what do you have on the screen?
We have a document from 2019. Jason, you referenced his arrest. Pam Bondi talked about in 2019. That's when he came on the radar a little bit more. Look it up here. It's highlighted in yellow. This is from documents Pam Bondi released. Gang Mara Salvatrucha 13. There's your MS-13. And you can read here, it says this is the narrative. This is the police write-up here. Talks about how they were approached at that Home Depot parking lot. That's what Pam Bondi referenced in the clip. And then just interviewing some of the people here. I'm kind of skimming through the document. Folks, you can find all this. The Department of Justice released this online. Pam Bondi herself, if you go to her account on X, you can find the whole PDF file. Reads here, he has an extensive criminal history for multiple assault, concealing dangerous weapon, burglary, and many other criminal offenses. Also been found guilty of gang participation in the circuit court for Prince George's County in December of 2018. They know a friend here, active gang member with the Sailors Clique with the rank of Observacion and moniker of Bimbo. The buddies that they found him with also had some tattoos associated with MS-13. So I am sure, Jason, I'm completely sure this guy was just with two other MS-13 agents in the Home Depot parking lot, just an innocent third party saying, hey, I just want to come do some work as well. You guys are in MS-13. Nothing to see here. Or is it more likely because he was wearing the shirt associated with them, has the names, that he might have been involved in that as well? Honestly, the fact that they even tried to run Maryland, man, and I love how Donald Trump played this. He let them do the narrative. He let Van Hollen, that senator, go down to El Salvador and meet him. And then Trump and Bondi go, boom, here's the documentation. They let the Democrats run wild with this story. They sat on the information. And then when it was, all right, Democrats can't take us any further, let's just expose them all for what they are here.
Absolutely. Hey, and just catching up on some comments, Francis was asking, when did he come to the U.S.? 2012, believe it or not. Long time. Crow Fields is a new Rumble member. Check it in over on the Rumble. We love that. And Paul Reese. Paul Reese, for those who don't know, he owns SplitRockCoffee.com. Disabled veteran owned and operated, based in Minnesota. They sell some of the best coffee ever. Todd, is there a promo code?
There sure is, folks. You can go to SplitRockCoffee.com, use promo code TOD10, subscribe and save today, save instantly on your next order. But we love the breakfast blend. I think we talk about it every week. That's all I'm drinking now. But go to SplitRockCoffee.com, use promo code TOD10 to save on your next order. It's the best stuff around, and support a local Minnesota business. Again, disabled veteran owned, but they're down here in our backyard in Minnesota, and we need all the help we can get with Tim Walz's state level tyranny that he's imposing on us every single day here.
And exciting news for Paul. He's actually going to be co-hosting with Hutch tonight on Cold War Radio.
Hey, awesome. Way to go, Paul.
I think it's his first real big thing. So tune into that.
I just want to give a shout out too, Jason. Over on Rumble, we got Julie FBW. New comment here. I don't remember seeing a Julie before, but need to repeatedly encourage your Facebook followers to move over to Rumble. Julie, great spot right there. Julie, did you come over from Facebook as well? But thanks for that little shout out there. And again, if you are on Facebook, we love our Facebook audience, do a lot of posting over on Facebook, but Rumble's where the magic happens, because when we get to Rumble only, that's when we have a lot of fun. But yeah, come find us on Rumble, rumble.com, the American Tribune.
Right. Now, back to the Maryland story. Guy comes in 2012, hanging out with gang members. We're showing multiple court documents that show that this guy is part of a gang. So, I don't know what every American citizen wants, needs, or expects in order to remove this man from America. The Democrats, you would think they need a Supreme Court trial to get this person removed. And I don't know about you guys. I elected Donald Trump. One of the things I was looking for, anybody here illegally, frankly, you better toe the line. You better behave. You better follow the rules. And if you don't, pack them up, send them home. I think that even sometimes, even the people that are just here illegally should be sent home. All of them. Go home, come in the right way. Donald Trump has pitched that this week. Hey, how about you voluntarily deport? We'll let you come back in. We'll give you priority to come back in if you're a good citizen. But I don't know any other country in the world that would allow this animal in the country doing what he does and leave him here. And I don't want to hear about due process or any of that garbage that the mainstream media is trying to say. The fact of the matter is, you came here illegally. We extended you grace being in this country, and now you have broken that trust. You get to go home. Have a nice day.
Yeah, Jason, I'm glad you said that. I know we're getting hung up on the narrative now. We're trying to argue whether or not he was part of MS-13. That kind of ignores the larger point. Gang member affiliation, his charges, his assault records, whatever else, good enough to send him home. I don't need any of that. He is here illegally. That's all I need to know. Are we going to debate how long he's been in the gang and what he got accused of and charged with? Fine, automatic trip home if you are convicted of a crime, but he's already here illegally. I don't need any other proof. Let's expose it for what it is. Let's call it the Democrats for lying about this Maryland man when he's a known gang member. He's an illegal immigrant. That's all I need to know. I want them all sent packing. That's why I voted for Donald Trump. But these clowns are going to defend illegal immigrants over you. They have no problem. And in fact, I think they wanted at this point. The evidence is out there. Joe Biden had a wide open border. He knew that drugs were getting trafficked. He knew that people were getting trafficked. He knew that people would commit crimes against Americans in this country. didn't do anything to stop it, encouraged them to come up here. I think they want to see Americans get hurt. I do think that's their plan here. They want us terrorized. Pam Bondi called the man a terrorist. And that's where we're at with these people. That's what the Democrat Party is propping up. And I popped up a clip here from Carolyn Levitt as well. This was shared by the Department of Homeland Security. Again, just saying the facts as they write here. Abrego Garcia was illegal in the U.S. and had a lawful deportation order. Again, full stop. That's enough information for me. Send him packing based on that alone. But then they continue. Garcia was arrested and found with rolls of cash and drugs, because I know that all of us in our audience here have rolls of cash and drugs in our completely normal situation. Arrested with 2 other members of MS-13. And again, I don't know about you, but on my weekends, I like to roll with MS-13 gang members, even though I'm not part of MS-13. 2 judges found that Garcia was a member of MS-13. Okay. Garcia's wife petitioned for an order of protection after instances of domestic violence. I don't know how much longer that list needs to be before every Democrat voter is like, all right, I will grant you this one deportation. They might say no humans illegal. Let's keep the 20 million that Joe Biden let in the country here. But I will fine. Let's let this guy come in. But they don't say that even. They're saying, no, this is the line in the sand. This is the hill we're going to die on. We're going to defend this monster here because due process, apparently.
Right. Yeah, I got to say, too, I got to give a shout out to Joy over here. Jay belongs over on the Rumble. They're talking about people crossing the border illegally. It's a crime. Like, welcome to the party, Jay.
Yeah.
And like Todd said so eloquently, like, this guy does not belong in America. And I think you did touch on an important thing to understand. And I've come to this realization over the past several weeks. Liberals and Democrats, they believe 2 things. They believe they are intellectually superior to you as a conservative, and they believe they're morally superior to you as a conservative. So when you're trying to share information like this with liberals, they're like, oh, here's the stupid people trying to convince something. Oh, and they're a bad person. So because it's bad to be America first. And they think America is bad. I think America is the most exceptional country in history. I think what we've done here, what we've accomplished, what we've done in the world. I hate our government. I think our government's trash. And I think we need to replace them all with better, true Americans. But I think the American dream, it's been truly revolutionary. But Democrats don't think that. They think America's a bad, evil, awful place. And people that believe in the founding principles of America are bad people, all those things. So they really are like, why are we so special? Why would we limit who comes in? Any of those sorts of things. So, yeah, it's insane. And Ron, they're striving for voters. Actually, what's ironic too, not just that this guy's going to vote. I mean, his kids will, so they're playing the long game. But Democrats, as once the crime gets bad enough, they'll just turn and be like, oh, we need to lock them up, even though they were the ones letting them out. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I popped up this comment. Ron, thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Jason made the point that they just want them here because they want to ruin the country. They don't like the country as it's made, so they want to reshape it with all these immigrants. But then the other plan, too, was, of course, to import voters. They wanted to increase the representation in the Electoral College and the House of Representatives. They wanted to count these illegals in the census. If a Democrat becomes president, I mean, if that happens, you can wait for amnesty for how many tens of millions of illegals in this country. That will happen, and they will change the landscape of elections in this country forever. That was the long game there. Yeah, they hate you, and they want to replace you. And then, by the way, they want to win every election. This is all it was. It was not about humanity and welcoming the world's poor, and we're a refuge for everybody. Feed the tired masses on the Statue of Liberty. That is all a lie. They wanted to import voters, as Ron says. Thanks for commenting, Ron.
Yeah. Well, and I got to say, too, there's so many fun chats. We got Fally over there. Fally, you still got to send Todd and I a message so we can get you back on the Rumble. But, yeah, talking about how my mother-in-law and sister-in-law feel he should be brought back from El Salvador. Now, here's what's remarkable. Like, do those people even know he came here under the pretext of fleeing a gang? Oh, by the way, when they elected the new president, which, Todd, how do we pronounce his name again?
Bukele.
Bukele. I always pronounce it wrong.
When
they announced Bukele, he threw all the gangs in jail. So the gang he was fleeing from in 2012 no longer exists down in El Salvador. So really, why is he here anymore? He's hung out with gang members. He's beat his wife. He's done all these things. Trump sent him back to his country of origin in El Salvador. He is an El Salvadorian citizen who was sent back to El Salvador. Why on earth are we pushing to bring him back? Do you know he's been like arrested with gang stuff? Do you know about the wife beating? Any of this? Like, he's like a temporary employee. You know, if you've ever worked in a job where you hire seasonal help and then like that's when they're on their best behavior. Like, the guy's been seasonal help and he sucks. Why would we keep him here? But oh no, I feel better. It's insane.
Yeah, and I got to add on this point too. I'm going to pop up Falley's comment again here because this reminds me of the Martha's Vineyard liberal, the Kamala Harris when they shipped off the illegals to her observatory residence in Washington, D.C. All these people feel like he should come back. They actually don't want to live next to them. They don't want to be anywhere near them. But they have this idea that America can take care of all the violent illegals and Americans will be okay. And they see the stories that someone got assaulted, but it won't happen to me. But this delusion of having, I feel like they should be back here. I feel so much for these people. I have to say this again, Jason. I said it last week. It is the opposite of empathy and the opposite of feelings. If these people had feelings, if they had any empathy, they would want them all gone because they would want Americans to be safe. Or if they actually believed it, they would say, tell you what, Kilmar, you and your family are invited into my house. I will protect you and take care of you from the mean, bad Donald Trump. They will never do that. Falley's mother-in-law and sister-in-law will never invite an illegal family to their house to stay with them, that they can be fed, clothed, sheltered, taken care of with their medical expenses, dropped off at school if they have kids. They will never do that. If they live on Martha's Vineyard, they find the first bus off that island for those folks because they don't want to deal with it. They want you to deal with it. They want the average American in the small manufacturing gutted community to deal with all the Haitians, to deal with all the violent illegals. As long as I don't see it, I just want it to be taken care of down there. These people have zero empathy. They're all narcissists. They cannot put themselves in the shoes of regular Americans who deal with this chaos every single day. So fired up.
Me too. Where do we go next, Todd? What video should we go on?
Well, you want to bookend this story with Senator Chris Van Hollen, who decided that he didn't care about visiting J6ers in prison. We have a fantastic tweet of Peter Navarro. Let me pop that one up as well as we're going to share this story. I have too many tabs open.
So to frame this up, when J6ers were locked up, we've covered it ad nauseum on the show. They were locked up for 18 months without a trial in deplorable conditions. Peter Navarro, who worked for Trump, got locked up in prison, and Congressman Matt Gaetz was not allowed to visit him. So whenever conservatives went to check on American citizens who were in jail in D.C. and whatnot, these folks had no problem locking up MAGA. No Democrat went to check on them. No Democrats actively blocked them from being checked in on. Guys like Peter Navarro, who thank God he made it through and now he's serving with Trump again. But all these clowns, they don't care about you, the American citizens. But when there's an illegal, Todd, what did Democrats do when there was an illegal?
We've laid out the narrative. They want you to feel bad for this Maryland man, but then you will have a Democrat senator fly down to El Salvador and host a meeting with an MS-13 gang member. Jason, I hope the ops on this are running every campaign against him for the rest of his life. This should be just a standard photo for the Trump or the Vance campaign in 2028 when he's running for president. You have Democrats sitting down, sipping margaritas with terrorists that have been deported. And Democrats are trying to frame this up as we're going to bring him back to the United States. Trump won on the issue of the border. I can't imagine this would play well in the next election cycle. But let's listen to the senator talk about the poor plight and his efforts to bring him home to his family. And before I do that, Jason, Crowfields was on Rumble saying the wife who was beaten has been fundraising. Over $500,000 was reported to have been raised. Any verification? I found this tab. It looks like aid for Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia's family is over on GoFundMe and has raised $234,000 so far.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about GoFundMe because we got to touch on the situation in Texas. And just so you guys know, this is actually up live. Anybody on the interweb can go look at this. How on earth are people donating $240,000?
And take a look at how they described it. Kilmar is a loving father, husband, son, brother, union construction co-worker, and CASA member. I don't know what CASA is. He's been wrongfully disappeared and deported, torn from his family due to a shocking administrative error by the U.S. government. Oh, and look at this. They say he's now being held with no contact with his family or lawyers. in the CICA, the El Salvadorian mega prison known for torture and human rights abuses. All right, well, with that context, let's listen to Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen talk about his visit to El Salvador.
With our team from the American Embassy, with the Vice President of El Salvador, with human rights groups. And the entire purpose has been to bring Abrego Garcia home because U.S. courts have determined that he was illegal from the United States and now finds himself in the most notorious prison in El Salvador.
Now, contrast what he said. Courts have found he was illegally deported. Folks, Pam Bondi, Carolyn Levitt, we shared the videos, we shared the screenshots of their tweets, we showed you the documents. Turns out he was illegal. And again, all the other stuff is an add-on to be like, he should have been sent home yesterday. He was an illegal immigrant to America. That's enough to send him home already. What court is saying you can't deport an illegal immigrant? But that's the narrative they're going to run with here.
Well, and I got to say, too, like, can you hit play on the video again? I was hitting the
Supreme Court, 9-0, has told the Trump administration they must be here in El Salvador. With our team from the American Embassy, with the Vice President of El Salvador, with human rights groups. And the entire purpose has been to bring Abrego Garcia home.
I want to stop it on home.
Home.
Todd, where is Abrego Garcia a citizen of?
Well, as Paul Reese so astutely observes over on Rumble, he is home in El Salvador.
So let me put this in. Somebody explain this to me. If we have any liberals in the chat, Garcia fled El Salvador because of gangs that have since been removed and thrown in jail. So he now doesn't. So shouldn't Garcia be wanting to go home to where he's a citizen of?
He said the only reason he came here was to flee a problem that no longer exists.
Huh. And then, like Fally was saying, they use the new term disappear. What a joke. This was the narrative running all week. Oh, they just kidnapped him in the middle of the night and sent him down to El Salvador. Fact of the matter is the guy's been in trouble a ton. Like, the guy's actually been ordered to be kicked out of the country. We saw the court documents. It's all tied up in administrative gobbledygook right now. Donald Trump got elected and said, if you're hanging out with MS-13, we're going to send you home. He declared a national emergency. The media's been covering it for weeks. So if Mr. Garcia is really shocked that he got picked up and sent to this, I don't know what rock you've been living under, dude. Like, if you're here in the country illegally and you've not been on your best behavior and you've gotten in trouble with the law and you've been hanging out with gang members, that knock on the door is somebody to send you out of the country. Just so you know, like public service announcement.
Because U.S. courts have determined that he was illegally abducted from the United States and now finds himself in the most notorious prison in El Salvador. The Supreme Court, 9-0, has told the Trump administration they must facilitate his return home. They've refused to do it. So I called upon the government of El Salvador to do it unless they can provide evidence that he's been involved in MS-13. They said they had no evidence. So,
and again, I don't want to belabor this point here, but this is where they're trying to like argue over these nuances here, semantics. Is he part of a gang or not? I don't care. He's an illegal immigrant. By that definition alone, we have the right to deport him home. That's it. It's an add-on. It's the cherry on top that he's an alleged gang member with his criminal record. Like, that is automatic ticket out of here. But he was an illegal. He needs to go. He was ordered to leave. So the way that they're framing this up, again, send him home, known ties to MS-13, they can't provide any evidence. I don't care. I honestly don't care.
I got to say, I love the chat. Everybody's like, he is home.
Yeah.
Like,
we have a smart audience.
See, we have a smart audience. I love that. Just a little foreshadowing, too. One thing this Democrat talked about, too, is the most notorious prison. I'm going to say this because this is going to tie into the next story when we talk about the Texas incident. I wish Americans' prisons were harder and meaner and tougher than they are. How did El Salvador clean up the gang problem? They arrested them, they threw them in jail, and they made jail a horrible place nobody wanted to be in. And you even sniff getting involved in a gang down there, they're going to lock you up, they're going to send you to jail. And you know what? Like, that is what was needed in that country. And when we talk about some of these other stories, frankly, not enough people are afraid of going to jail, and they are doing things that are bad in this country. And it's because there's no fear of there's no fear of being held accountable. But this Democrat narrative, like, oh my God, it's a notorious prison. It should be. The prison that houses drug dealing gang members, people should be terrified of going to. They should be like, these conditions are inhumane. Like, I'm going to get my butt kicked that's what we need, because these people need to be more afraid of that prison than they are of committing their crimes. And right now they're not. And because they're not, that's why people are committing so many crimes.
Deterrence is a powerful tool that the government could use. Don't like the government, don't like the idea of a monopoly on the police, but I want bad guys locked up at the same time. And I can live with both of those ideas at the same time. Jason, I want to add too, this idea. So Donald Trump has floated the idea of sending American citizens to this prison as well. I don't know the constitutionality. I don't know the rules around that. In my mind, if you commit a violent crime, so I'll use this man as an example. Let's even pretend for a second he is an American, he has no criminal record, was wrongfully abducted. Well, I take it back. Let's say he has his criminal record still. I am okay with you getting sent to prison here. I'm okay with you getting sent to prison there. I'm okay with establishing a penal colony on some Pacific island and sending you there. I don't know what our laws actually say. And I'm not saying this rhetorically or facetiously. I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying I'm okay with it. Like, is there a law that says if you're an American citizen, you have to be housed in an American prison system based in the United States? In my mind, once you commit acts of violence or evil and you don't want to fit in society, I honestly don't care where you go. If you're going to be the kind of guy committing these crimes, if we house you in the contiguous U.S., in a foreign country's prison, on an island somewhere, I just want you gone.
Well, and I got to say, when Donald Trump floated the send our prisoners to El Salvador, I kind of liked it.
That's what I'm saying. I like it too.
Yeah, I'm like, there was a time when our prison conditions were bad. We've gone so far the other way where nobody fears going to prison, and nobody fears committing crimes, and nobody thinks they're going to be held accountable. I mean, I remember when I started in retail back in the 90s, like, people would genuinely be concerned about shoplifting charges. Then they quit enforcing it, and then it wasn't a big deal. And by the time I got out of retail 20, 30 years later, like, people just stole stuff in the economy. They're like, whatever, I'll get my ticket that I won't pay, and I'll be back stealing from your store next week. So, yeah, it's remarkable.
All right, I'm going to finish up. Let's do another 30 seconds of this guy.
So this is not about MS-13. I know President Trump wants to make this about gang violence. I have been fighting MS-13 probably longer than Donald Trump even knew about MS-13.
It's just an interesting aside here. Democrats love credentials. He says he's been fighting MS-13 for longer than Trump's known about him, however long that means. Does he have anything to show for it? I don't care about your resume, your credentials, the committees you sat on to talk about MS-13. What has he done measurably to change the outcome? All I see is more gang membership. I see this guy has continued to be a problem. He was at Home Depot with 2 MS-13 people. What have you accomplished in this fight against MS-13? I'm guessing nothing.
You know, and it's a funny point. This is one thing. Like, you battle with liberals, like, they love throwing out the credentials.
They do.
You know, and it's like, what have these people ever done? You know, they went to school to be taught by another credentialed person how to be a credentialed person, and then they're going to teach other people to be a credentialed person. But you know, it's like all the people in our finance departments or whatnot, you know, they're like, oh, well, economic experts. Have any one of them built a business? No. Oh, okay. But anyways, so this guy goes down. The Democrats all are slathering all over him. He goes down there. They refuse to show him. And then last night, Bukele drops the tweet. Todd, take it away.
Here we go. So you have your Senator Van Hollen, Democrat, shaking hands, Proud to meet Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who, as Bukele writes here hilariously, miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. So you've got these images here. And again, this is the picture. I got a separate tweet saying that this should just be the new campaign for any America First candidate moving forward. This man has, I would say, done nothing for American citizens, his own constituency. This just in, folks, if you vote Democrat, it doesn't mean they're going to do anything for you. They'll just use your vote to get into power and then turn around and support these guys. Sitting U.S. Senator with, I'll say, alleged gang member here. The optics on this are just terrible. Has he ever sat down with a detained American citizen? Has he ever sat down with a victim of one of these MS-13 assaults on American citizens? I would doubt it, but he will sit down and have a margarita with this monster.
Well, and if we can pull up the other picture too, if you look at his knuckles, he had gang tattoos on his knuckles.
Yeah, let's pull that one up.
People notice that. Yeah, so on there you can't really see, but he's got like gang tattoos on his knuckles, like MS-13 stuff. I don't know about all the gang tattoos, but that's part of how they identify him. And then it was funny. So after this took the storm, like the Democrats are like, "Oh, this is great," and then Bukele was like, "Okay, can we quit talking about sending him home now? Like, this is a happy ending. He's not been sent to a death camp. Like, can we just all be okay with it?"
Yeah, and as Kev writes, thanks for joining, Kev. El Salvador Presidente taking care of his constituent. Happy ending. Yep, there we go. He's back home.
Right. Yeah, and actually, Kev makes the next comment where he says, "This photo, I didn't like it first. When I saw it, I'm like, what the heck?" And then he retweets it with a thing saying, "Okay, now that we're convinced we might have to find the tweet, but I'll get the word wrong. But it was something about now that we know that he's here and he's home, like, can we quit talking about sending him home?" So it was just like brilliant trolling. And I got to say, Todd kind of talked about it. I think I don't know if this was intentional or accidental, a happy little accident, but throughout the course of this story, Trump and his team have done a great job. Like, they deport him, which we love. Most Americans, like, if you look at the polling numbers, if you believe them, it's like 60-70% want these guys home. And then they let Democrats lean into all this nonsense about, oh my gosh, a senator flew down there. Like, no senators have flown over to talk to Hamas about releasing American citizens. But this illegal that everybody thinks is home, who's in his home country, like, they flew down, and then you end up with a picture of the El Salvadorian man with the El Salvadorian president and the Democrat U.S. senator saying, "Hey, see, here's your citizen. What are you worried about?" Mwah! Chef's kiss, Todd. Yeah. Chef's kiss.
Here's the update tweet. So we showed the first one where he's risen from death camps, and then follow-up tweet to that. Now that he's been confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody. Just marvelous.
Mwah! Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
God, this was a great story. This is so much fun.
I love the story so much. And I just love the stones of the leadership. Like, this is real leadership. Trump, Bukele, they're like, say all you want. This dude's a monster. He's staying in this El Salvador prison. F off. And then here's the poll, though. 93% of polled Republicans, and I know 93 is like, oh, wow, 93. I'm like, who are the 7% of Republicans that are opposed to this? But almost half of Democrats polled by Axios support deporting immigrants who are in this country illegally. Number rounds out to 66% of Americans support that. I don't really care what polls say. The number should be 100%. If it was 0%, I want Trump to move forward with these deportations. This is a wildly popular policy, though. As far as polls go, 66% on anything. When you have 2/3 of the country supporting what you're doing, that is great news. And again, Trump was elected on the issue of immigration and the border.
And yeah, I think it's such a great political play, too, because I have concerns about the midterms, especially with Trump doing some economic stuff with the tariffs. It's going to get dicey. We've talked a lot about that on previous episodes. But things like this, where this is an extremely popular issue, it's just bad for Democrats. And it just really takes the mask off and shows these people are more worried about illegals having access to America than they are American citizens.
Yeah. And my question would be, okay, half of the Democrats polled said they support that. Are they going to support that in the next election if it's midterms or presidential election? Like, I mean, I'm a Democrat, but this party's insane over here, and I like to see these guys getting deported. How do half those voters shake up? And Jason, honest, I think it's vote blue no matter who. We saw that in the Wisconsin midterms when they elected that far left radical Supreme Court justice. Even though they hate everything the Democrat Party does, look at these polls, and you're always like, 21% approve of Congress, half of them support these deportations, and they'll still vote Democrat. So I don't know what it'll take to finally shake them awake.
Yeah, the vote blue no matter who is really sad. So it's remarkable. Todd, do we want to go over any more?
I said we were going to bookend it, Jason, but we have Nicole Wallace crying over the deportations.
Oh, let's end the story on this.
The old saying, elections have consequences, is playing out in very real time in a very real way in cities all across our country as the Trump administration makes good on one of Trump's most controversial campaign promises.
Also, she says it's controversial. We just showed you a poll that 66% of the country supports it. So square that circle.
A promise that was immortalized in that sea of signs at the Republican National Convention. Mass deportations now. 1 week into Trump's second term, it's no longer an abstract idea or controversial campaign promise or even a convention sign. The deportations are underway.
Oh, no.
Wait. You mean a politician said, this is what I'm going to do, and then the people of America said, we're overwhelmingly going to support you. You're going to win the popular vote. You're going to win every swing state. You're going to win all of it. And then he's doing the thing he said he would do, and you're on TV crying about it.
He said he would do it. We voted for him to do it, and now he's doing it, and we're supposed to be sad about it. Nope.
No, I am like, pop the champagne, send him home. And I will say David does have a good point over on the Facebook. They're not all gone yet. Quit patting yourself on the back. 100% true, David. We want Trump to be more aggressive. We want a perp walk. We want illegals. We want to see people just like the border. Every time I see a video of the border with nobody crossing it, I'm like, this is spectacular. This is amazing. I don't know. I'm so happy.
Yeah, and I won't pat myself on the back because, Jason, my quibble, of course, is that we're not deporting enough. We're not deporting them fast enough. And again, if there's no perp walk, if it's not like a Hochul or a Schiff or some big name Democrat politician getting thrown in the slammer, Trump can do everything else. But I'm going to be like, not the great. Could be better because we need to see prison time and accountability for these folks still. So, yes.
Although if you do follow us on the AmericanTribune.com, you will see they're going after Letitia James for mortgage fraud, which is just so delicious because Letitia James went after Donald Trump for mortgage fraud, and now they're going after her. God, Todd, we could do this podcast for like 3 hours a day. There's just so much amazing stuff. Do we travel to Texas, though?
We've got to travel to Texas. I think we set up the story on Facebook. We'll stick to the facts, and then maybe we switch over to Rumble only where we opine a little bit more on it.
I love it. So for those who haven't heard, in Texas last week, there was an incident at a track meet. And there have been multiple reportings of the facts. There was a black kid who it's been confirmed went into the other team's area tent. He was sitting there. There was a white kid that went up, said, hey, you're in my seat. These are all relatively agreed on terms. We don't know exactly what the confrontation looked like there haven't been official court documents or anything yet. We do know a scuffle ensued. We do know black kid stabbed white kid, killed him, fled, got detained. When they detained him, he asked the police, has been confirmed by the police, like, hey, is he okay? Did he die? That kind of thing. There have been disputed reports. If he claims it was self-defense, nobody's really seen anything. So at this point, we don't know a lot of facts. We don't know a lot of specifics about any of that. So we're not going to opine on really what happened. What we want to opine on is the fact, if this was a white kid and a white kid, nobody talks about this story. If it was a black kid and a black kid, nobody talks about this story. For those who live in Chicago or some of these big cities, stuff like this happens between black kids a lot in inner cities. I mean, look at the crime statistics. I live north of Minneapolis. We hear all the time about young teenage boys stabbing each other. Nobody cares. The only reason this is a story is because there are two different races. There's a black kid and there's a white kid. And I'm going to say the white kid ended up dead. Like that is a fact. So the reaction on this has been truly remarkable. And I see a lot of people talking about, in the chats already, like the kid brought a knife to school. Like Todd and I were talking before the show. I grew up as a hillbilly in Minnesota. Like people brought things to school, like pocket knives, that kind of thing. I'm a little sus because I think this was not like, hey, I was working out in the farm and I had my pocket knife on me. Like there's a lot of things. And like, I don't want to really get into like, was what happened right, wrong, or otherwise, but just the reaction that everybody's had to this has been just so truly remarkable, Todd.
Yeah, and Kev's on the same note here. I stay away from these race bait ones until I see an extended video with before and after context. I know we might take a little heat from the right, so to speak, Jason. We don't know the circumstances that led up to the final confrontation that resulted in that kid's death. We don't know what words were exchanged. We don't know how that looked. Was it an aggressive stance? Was it not? At the end of the day, do you deserve to get stabbed over that? No. The self-defense claim seems a little shaky already, especially when I saw reports, Jason, that the kid asked the cops, like, do I have self-defense rights? And you could take that as like, well, I did it without thinking. And then, hey, wait a second, can I claim self-defense still? So based on what I know, it seems like a jury could easily convict him. And what happens after that, Jason, and again, I think they're priming us for a guilty verdict and all hell breaks loose again. I see that that's where it's headed. Facts will not matter when the verdict is released. People have already made up their minds if this kid is innocent or guilty. Shoot, while we're on it, Jason, why don't we just share the screen of this Give, Send, Go? Because it's the reaction to the story that's the bigger story. Like you said, if it were white, white, black, black, nobody cares. Happens every day. If it's black, black, especially. But because they have a racial angle, the media is running with this. They're getting both sides riled up. For me, though, I got to say, it's the response to the family of the, I guess we'll say, aggressor in the situation, the one that did the stabbing. The reaction of the family, his defense team, that is really rubbing people the wrong way. Let me start by sharing this Give, Send, Go. This young man has raised almost $500,000 because he is a perceived victim. And this is what they do. I'm not saying they in the case of this certain community. I'm saying that this is what people will do, though. Say, I might have stabbed him, but I'm the victim in this case because America's racist. It's wild, Jason. You were pointing this out before the show, too, raising $500,000. And the reason they're donating money, actually, let me go to this comment here because this was, here we go. To the Anthony family, I love y'all. Please use the money any way you need it. Any way you need it's an interesting way to phrase it as well because you have stories of them renting a nice house, potentially buying a new car, hiring this. People think he's a slam dunk lawyer. He's a race grifter. The man that is defending him now is simply, he would defend anyone that had the same melanin as he did. What was so wrong with Carmelo sitting under the tent to stay dry? What would Jesus do? Did they delete that other comment we saw about how America's evil, racist country? And that kind of seems to be the play here from the defense team. Yes, America's racist. White people are awful. This killing was justified because the white kid said you're not allowed to sit here. I didn't know if it was raining. I don't know if that's part of the narrative or not right now. Was he staying in the tent, sitting where he wasn't supposed to because it was raining? And then some white kid wants to start a confrontation and says, hey, buddy, get out of here. This isn't your tent. All right, there's so many things we don't know.
Well, and here's what I think's remarkable is the whole confrontation originated from this kid from the other school being in this school's section. Now, Todd, as a young man in rural Minnesota, if the other team's kids came over and hung out in your area, we beat the tar out of them.
Absolutely.
If they came over to use your porta potty, we would tip the porta potty over on the door. Like, that's what we did. And frankly, I don't care if it was a white boy or a black kid or anything. But that's just normal hazing in these school things. And especially if you're down in Texas, they take their sports very seriously. At no point has anybody ever said this white boy went up to the black kid and said, hey, you know, making reference to his race, we don't let black people hear, that kind of thing. But if you look, and it was funny because we just refreshed this Give, Send, Go before the podcast, and that was an American citizen, I'm assuming, who votes in our elections, who says America is a racist country, when I don't even know how on earth you draw that conclusion.
Or how that's even relevant to the situation here. Even if America were just some awful racist country and it oppressed blacks every day, that doesn't allow you to allegedly murder somebody. And there's this other comment here, and this is really what stands out. I stand with my brother and my African family. We will not let them scare us away. We stand with you. Again, completely irrelevant to the facts on the ground here. It is these people, it is the media spinning up the racial narrative. And again, if it were the other way around, do you think these same people would have been like, oh, Austin Metcalf stabbed this poor black kid. Well, I want to see justice play out first, so I'm going to donate money to his defense team. Or is it simply I'm defending him because he is black? America's racist. A black kid's getting targeted once again. It only works in one direction, by the way.
Right. And when we talk about, and it was kind of part of what we touched on in the first story, like this is where they want to divide us, because I hate to say it, other than that person thinks America's a racist place, like taking that stuff out, like we probably have more in common with them than we do with our elites. Like they probably mow their lawn, they go to the grocery store, they live their life, they pay too much taxes, they get screwed over by the government. All this stuff just happens, right? But I don't know how or why you continue to exist in this country if you think it's so awful. Go somewhere else. You are free to leave the country. And yeah, like Don says, I don't see the blacks leaving and going to black countries. South Africa, go there. You know, they have a black-dominated government right now. We talk about it more on the Rumble. They're actually just taking land from white farmers to give to blacks. Like there are places in the world that
have equity written into their constitution. Yeah. If it's so awful, why do they all come here still? All the illegals, all the African immigrants, they still come to this country. They must be super afraid. And then I love watching these videos of, you always see, there was the community leader in Detroit that was on something and got blown away by a cop because he was going to assault him. And it's like, oh, you guys are so afraid of police officers and so afraid to live in this country. If I were afraid of the police, I would be shaking, holding the steering wheel, saying, please don't do anything to me. But that's not how they react. In every single video that we see that goes online, they're screaming, they're shouting, I didn't do nothing wrong. They're aggressing towards the police officer. That's the opposite of fear. That is entitlement. That says, I can shout at you, I can go after you because I know that you're afraid of getting clipped, tasing me, shooting me, ruining your life, going to prison. They know they can get away with things. That is not fear. Again, it is entitlement. Don't tell me you're afraid of Whitey. Don't tell me you're afraid of the police. If you were afraid, truly afraid, you would be quivering when you got pulled over, begging them not to do anything to you, but they never do that.
Right. And now one thing that was referenced in that message we read too, it's been reported. So you get in a confrontation, you kill a kid, and people donate $500,000 to you. Garcia, who we talked about in the first one, we showed his Give, Send, Go. Like that's up on the interweb. Like you can go look at it. $200,000 to that guy. And what the family reportedly has used is they used it to rent a fancy house in a gated community for their safety. And I'll say I can see a little bit of, hey, we need to maybe relocate the family to somewhere safe because of all the media coverage this got. Now, once again, if this was black on black or white on white, nobody would care. But because it's white on black, they feel they need safety. But I'll kind of give them that. They're also buying a Ford Escalade, reportedly. And they bring in, should we end playing this lawyer before we move over to Rumble only?
Yeah, we got two clips of the lawyer here, compares it to the Rittenhouse situation. I straight up lies about the Rittenhouse situation. And then I got a clip of the father being in there as well, I think. So we'll finish Facebook with the new high-powered defense attorney for Carmelo Anthony.
She's getting millions of views on this. Sarah, she's even came after me. She's even said all of those things. And now that the public knows exactly what is going on. I asked, because these racist bigots try to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy, he should be afforded the same rights that Cal Rittenhouse had, Daniel Penna, and all of the people who have claimed whatever their defense was. He should be afforded the same right. Nobody in the public media has one video camera, but we got the video of Cal Rittenhouse with an AK-47 shooting 3 people in the back. We got that. And he raised more than $2 million publicly, and nobody said anything.
Jason, I admit I'm torn on this one. I can't tell if he's lying on purpose or he actually believes that and is that stupid. Nobody thinks that Kyle Rittenhouse, I take it back, at least one person does. He was being assaulted and he killed those people tragically because his life was at risk. This was not you're running away and I'm shooting you. This was I'm getting hit in the head with your skateboard and I need you to get off of me. So that was Rittenhouse. Daniel Penny saved everyone on that subway train from a maniac. Not the same situation whatsoever. And it turns out Jordan Neely was still breathing when first responders got there. That's an interesting twist. So no, these are not the same. And this is what gets me going. Again, the killing, we're going to let that play out in the court system. It's the reaction from the family and the defense team that is rubbing everybody the wrong way. This dude out here slandering Rittenhouse, making up stories about Rittenhouse and Penny and saying it's the same thing as what's happening to his client right here. Outrageous. It's the spending of the money. And I don't know about you, Jason, but if I was trying to get a new residence while I was worried about my safety, I wouldn't publicize that. I would maybe go in hiding somewhere and actually hide, not be like, here's the address in this white gated community that I'm staying at. Don't come get us.
Well, yeah, and let's have a big press conference and call people racist and like I say, where we started this story, like so far I've not seen anything about this that is racially motivated at all. Like, but what the message is sending, and you see it in the resonance and the donations, the media has created this narrative that that America is this big, awful, racist place and bad things happen, and it's just not the truth. It was crazy.
Yeah, and the thing that the clip started with, I wanted to reference that as well, and then we'll finish out the clip right here, and then we'll go to the other one and switch over to Rumble. But so I think it's Sarah's Censored is the X handle online, and she was simply posting court documents that showed this lawyer right here, his name escapes me right now, he was convicted of shaking a 2-year-old so hard it suffered permanent brain damage. And he's out there saying, they're going after me because she's a racist bigot. No. She pointed out the fact that you shook a child and caused it permanent brain damage. You are a monster. He spent time in prison for that.
And I don't know why he's even out. I was looking at that, and I don't have all the specifics, but sure didn't like. I think if you shake a baby and cause a brain damage, you should be in jail until that baby's brain is normal. And if that baby's brain is never normal, you should stay in there. And by the way, they should tell every inmate in that prison what you did to a baby.
I can't even imagine. Jason, you have kids. I have 2 little kids. They piss you off sometimes. You get frustrated because you can't reason with a 2-year-old. I have a 2.5-year-old. The last thing it would never even cross my mind to be like, this will stop you crying. This will solve my problems. Like, you have to be a monster. But again, this is the party that supports the unborn, whatever happens to them. They're unborn. They're not human beings yet. So it doesn't surprise me at all. And actually, I'd love for a Democrat to defend why is it bad to shake a baby and not bad to end the life of a baby that's just passing through the birth canal? Like, what is the difference there, honestly, if you're a Democrat?
We're getting awful spicy. You know, Todd, we should probably log off, head over to Rumble only, because we're getting ready to say some stuff that's going to
I can feel it coming, Jason. It's boiling up.
I can feel it coming because this race stuff just pisses me off. I grew up in a time where you really were caring, like, you just felt every generation you cared less about what race they were. You just cared if they were an asshole or not. You know what I mean? They a good person, they a bad person. And but anyways, we're gonna wrap up on Facebook, YouTube, still be broadcasting on Twitter, X, and the Rumble. Rumble's our favorite. We got a great community going over there. For those on our other platforms, we appreciate you tuning in. Todd and I are here every Friday. Although next week We are traveling for a wedding. One of our business partners getting married. So we're going to try to pre-record something and play it at the same time slot, but you won't see us live. But over on the Rumble, we got another half hour, 45 minutes in us. We always say a half hour and it goes a little long. But when we get over there, we're going to dissect a little bit more of this story, some of the reactions. And then we got to talk about the new government website that just got updated. And Anthony Fauci is not going to like it. And when we were talking about perp walks, I hope the first perp walk is Anthony Fauci. But anyways, on that note, Todd, anything while we switch over to the other platforms?
No, fast hour again. Facebook community, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. The comments were on fire today. We are not ending the show, though, and I think one of our Rumble comments said it as well. Come find us over on Rumble. We're not done broadcasting it. Love you seeing on your Facebook, but head over to Rumble, search out the American Tribune. You'll see the live broadcast still going on there, and check it out. Give us a like, give us a follow, share this with your Democrat normie friends right there, because that's who we need to wake up, folks. We got to wake up some of these rhino normie Republican voters still, who are getting outraged like, oh, Donald Trump's taking it too far. No, he's not taking it far enough. Let's make that case. But we got to wake up these normie Dems out there that are otherwise good people. We live in Minnesota, Jason and I do. All of my friends vote Democrat. They're hardworking people. They go to work. They pay their mortgage. They coach their kids' t-ball game. They're nice people to hang out with, but they vote Democrat and they support evil. They support people that will defend everyone but them. So we got to wake those folks up as well. Get them on the America First train. So folks, find us on Rumble, the American Tribune. We are back in 60 seconds.